But I saw this last night as I was up all goddamn night. And I thought it was really interesting. And there's a place in EvE called Molia. And when people pass away in real life, people will actually put their cargo containers out there with the names of the person who's died, the character of the person who's died. And you can see right here. Let's look at all these little containers around here. And this has been going on for years and years and years. There are thousands upon thousands of these cargo containers in this system around a dead POS. And for you guys that don't know what EvE is, a POS is a player-owned station. I played EvE like from 2006 to 2011, 5 years of my life. I dumped into this game, man. I lived, I slept, I ate EvE up. Political chaos. I was actually in charge of a very large alliance. I will not say it because that shit gets so real in EvE. There's some serious demented people that play EvE, and I'm not even going to talk about that at all. I'm not going to give any details out on that because there's been people that gave me death threats and the whole thing. It was just like there were a lot of mentally sick people that played EvE. I don't know if you guys ever played EvE. But I played as a very lead role. Game gets a real bad rap. I think the game's a real great game. But unfortunately, there are a lot of mentally ill people that play EvE. And anyway, I happen to like the game regardless. But this was cool because this was and this is why I think I'm going to make content and relate it to Star Citizen here, is because you've got all these people doing this, creating like a cemetery of sorts, right? Now watch what happens here. Over time, it becomes very populated, and CCP, the creators now bought out, by the way, decided, hey, we're going to redesign it. Now this is why I think Star Citizen should take some notes here from the developers over at CCP, because they take the time to listen to the fans, which I'm not saying Star Citizen and Cloud Imperium doesn't, but they make a giant memorial, like a cemetery, and this thing fires off every 6 hours this beam of light that shoots up into the air. Now, how cool is that shit? Now, all the containers, I don't know what they're planning on doing. I hope they're going to keep those containers that were there and repopulate the containers. It'd be a shame if you actually have to go back out there and do it again. I personally, when my dad passed away, I went into EvE and I went to the New Eden Gate and I put a little container there for my pops because he's the one who turned me on to EvE. And there's something to the game that like really draws you in. And I put a cargo container in there with his, character's name. And, rest in peace, the year he, the date and the year he died, he passed away about 2 years ago. And I put, like the cargo container near the EvE gate. That was my thing. I wasn't really aware that this had been going on in Molia near this POS for years upon years. So cool. And I hope that Star Citizen does what I want to say is, like, I hope the people in Star Citizen, the developers in Star Citizen, do very similar things where they put, player kind of oriented events that are important into the game. Not just the lore, but also the citizens, like the people that play the game. There, you'll see this thing fire off, which is so really cool. And really cool, man. Like, I just think that's so neat. There was a person in the game that ended up going to every star system. I mean, could you imagine? I mean, there's a shit ton of star systems in EvE. And went to everyone, and it took years upon years. And they made a statue of her in the game. It's like immortalizing her accomplishment and putting that in the game. So freaking cool. So freaking cool. I love that. And I hope that we have a lot of that like in Star Citizen. I think that would be really important to put into the game. My 2 cents on that. But anyway, it's EvE is a game where the population is dying. And, personally, I think what's going to happen to EvE eventually is it might get washed away. CCP is really trying to push and do more promotion for the game. You know, and the numbers, they kind of went down because what ended up happening was they came out with this new patch that it basically brought a whole bunch of PvE PvE NPC instances into an area called nullsec, which is like all player owned kind of outlaw systems, you know, in comparison with Star Citizen. And they just shoved PvE NPCs into the game, and they programmed them to attack large player-owned POSs, large and small player-owned POSs in nullsec, and the players just went ape shit. They were like, I can't do this. Why are you doing this, CCP? And you know, the interesting thing is they pulled back last week and they said, you know what, you guys are right. We're sorry. And they listened to the fans. Something that CCP should get some credit for. Pi says some big player battles woven into the lore would be neat. Absolutely. Being able to take like fan created content and then immortalize it within the game is something that CCP and EvE are very good at. And it gets a bad rap. EvE gets a bad rap because, oh God forbid, there's an actual economy that's player driven. That, you know what, there's a lot of content creators out there that give it a bad rap, and you know what, they're wrong. They haven't played EvE. They don't understand it. And so they just say, oh, armchair warriors and spreadsheets and blah, blah, blah. They're not industrial players. I can guarantee you they're giving content out for stuff like that. They have no idea. The industry and the economy and EvE are probably par none the best I've ever seen in any game. What's going on, Erad? Welcome to the stream. Good morning, chilling out. Drink some coffee. Why don't players want to do some PvE? Some do. Some do, Dark. I don't have a problem with anybody doing PvE at all. I think what gets bad is if PvE is forced down throats of everybody that aren't into the EvE is very, very player driven. EvE is a very player driven game. And there are sections in EvE where they have PvE sections in high sec or high security where there's plenty of PvE. The problem is that they put PvE instances in areas that were completely player driven, and that drove the people that were into the PvP completely insane because nobody asked for it. I'm having a little break. Then I got to get back to work. Oh, cool, Erad. Well, dude, I'll tell you one thing. But I love what they did here. I love that they made like this memorial cemetery. They redid the whole thing for people who died in real life, and they put those containers out there, put their characters' names on there. There was thousands upon thousands of these cargo containers out there at this dead POS, and people just started dumping these bookmarks out there of people who really died. And then CCP says, you know what? I see you, fans. I see you. Boom. We're making it a giant, amazing memorial. That's awesome. That's freaking awesome.